December 16th, Samuel. 1 Samuel 3:19 through 21. As Samuel grew up, the Lord was with him, and let none of his words fall to the ground. And all Israel, from Dan to Beersheba, knew that Samuel was a trustworthy prophet of the Lord. The Lord continued to appear at Shiloh, for the Lord revealed himself to Samuel at Shiloh by the word of the Lord. 1 Samuel 12, verses 19 to 24. All the people said to Samuel, "Pray to the Lord your God for your servants, so that we may not die. For we have added to all of our sin the evil of demanding a king for ourselves." And Samuel said to the people, "Do not be afraid. You have done all this evil, yet do not turn aside from following the Lord, but serve the Lord with all your heart. And do not turn aside after useless things that cannot profit or save, for they are useless. For the Lord will not cast away his people, for his great name's sake, because it has pleased the Lord to make you a people for himself. Moreover, as for me, far be it from me that I should sin against the Lord by ceasing to pray for you, and I will instruct you in the good and the right way. Only fear the Lord and serve him faithfully with all of your heart, for consider what great things he has done for you." In those days, it was rare for God to speak to his people. From the time Samuel was a young boy, God had chosen him to be one of his prophets. A prophet hears from God and shares God's message with the people. Samuel listened and obeyed the Lord's calling for his life. He proclaimed to God's people that a true king was coming who would rule over every earthly king. When God's people entered their new land, they wanted a new king that they could see, hear, and touch. Even though they had a God who was kind and fair as he looked out for their needs, and even though they had a history of being ruled by leaders who did not take good care of them, the people of Israel still wanted an earthly king. God heard his people and gave them a king named Saul. But Saul neither loved God nor followed his commands. God told Samuel to go to Bethlehem to find the new king that God had chosen to care for and lead his people. God had chosen David, an earthly man who loved God with his whole heart. Many years later, a relative of David would be born in the same city of Bethlehem. God would choose this man, his son Jesus, to be the King of Kings. The prophet Isaiah said that this king's kingdom would have no end. And Daniel described that the God of heaven will set up a kingdom that will never be destroyed, nor will it be left to another people. It will crush all those kingdoms and bring them to an end, but it will itself endure forever. Everlasting God, you know just what your people need. Help us to trust and pray for those you put in authority over us, because you are wise and good. Branching out. Make a list of people that God has put in positions of leadership and authority over you. Take time as a family to pray for God's wisdom and protection for each of these people. I urge then, first of all, that petitions, prayers, intercession, and thanksgiving be made for all people, for kings and all those in authority, that we may live peacefully and quiet lives in all godliness and holiness. This is good and pleases God our Savior. 2. Write a letter to one of these people and tell them how you are praying for them. 3. Samuel encouraged God's people to serve the Lord and consider what great things he has done. As a family, spend time recalling and thanking God for the great things he has done for you over the past year.